This is the 2023 ASUS Zephyrus G14. Last year's G14 was the AMD Advantage, or all AMD machines. We don't even have those AMD GPUs really out yet. Not really at this point. And we're coming up to the end of 2023. So clearly AMD was very late. ASUS was not willing to wait, and they went with NVIDIA this year. So you can actually get a 7735HS, which is actually last year's AMD. It's basically a 6800HS around there, that processor. It's just rebadged. So you can actually get a very similar processor to what you would get last year, very, very similar. But then you can actually go back to a 3050, 6 gigabytes, so it's a refresh, 3050, which is interesting because they never offered the combination of that CPU with that GPU last year or the year before, because last year was all AMD Advantage, and the year before that, it was a 5000 series AMD. And then you can also get, modern this year's 4000 series NVIDIA GPUs. So you can get a 4050, 4060, 4070, you can go up to a 4090 with this laptop. Right here I have what's probably the best offering in my opinion. This is kind of the entrance model for the 2023, the true 2023 models. So this one has the 7940HS, that's the Ryzen 9 processor. It's a Phoenix range processor. It's a very good processor on this laptop. Comes equipped with those 780M graphics. The price on this is somewhat reasonable for the 4060 model. It comes in at $2,000 Canadian. That's the full MSRP price. It's actually very rarely on sale. I've seen like $100 off. This is the first time that it actually dropped like $300 to $400. That's why I picked it up. Because at $2,000, it's okay, but it's not that compelling. I mean, considering these things just kind of sit at the same price, which has been a tradition for the G14 lineup, where they basically just stay the same price, even into the next year. This model here, though, the 4060 with the 7940HS, I think is the best buy-in for most people. This is a pretty small laptop, so there's only so much cooling you can put in here. I mean, you can put in a vapor chamber, you can put in you can beef this up as much as you possibly can. But when it comes down to it, it is a 14-inch thin and light gaming laptop. So you can spec this all the way up to a 4090, which is kind of crazy that you can get such a powerful GPU in this laptop. But I've seen other people's reviews as well, and they don't perform as well as you're going to think because it's such a small chassis in this laptop. There's basically two screen offerings on this laptop. They advertise that it has a mini LED. The mini LED is only available on the 4090, and that's the best screen by far. That's going to be competing with OLED screens. It's going to have absolute beautiful blacks, great colors and all that. All of the other models are going to have IPS screens. So you're not going to be getting that mini LED on any model except the 4090. So I'm going to make sure that I do a full coverage of this laptop. I'm going to actually tear it apart, look at the internals. I'm going to go a full run of temperatures, benchmarks, game test as well. So at the end of this, I'm going to slap on a couple games and I'm going to film directly on the screen so you can kind of see how it sounds. And then I'm going to have one more video where I actually compare it to the brand new Legion 14. This is a brand new laptop that I just got today. I ordered this the day it launched, and it just arrived actually, well, it arrived last night actually. So really, this is going to be a new competitor for the G14. We finally have a second 14-inch gaming laptop. Okay, and here's a look at the laptop. Same, very similar to the last few years that they made this laptop. I mean, the G14's kind of always had the same design language. It's a little different though. I mean, I've had each year from the original model. So you can see here, if you've had the other ones, it's a little sharper here, a little bit less rounded on some of the edges here. So that's a sharper finish there. A little bit more of a gunmetal. I thought it would be darker. It's actually like a gunmetal. It has a little bit more of a almost brushed, kind of just cut metal finish. You can see that like that's just like cut metal right there. Similar to the Lenovo Slim lineup, Lenovo 7 Slim, which has, that like brushed metal. Very, very nice actually. So I like that. I'm biased towards that. I actually like that quite a bit. Looks nicer this year really than any other year they've had in the past. Similar overall, but a little bit nicer. Left side here, vent, power input. That's the primary power input. HDMI out, USB-C with power delivery and display, headphone, microphone combo jack. So right side, same, same exhaust there. This one you get a micro SD card. That's kind of nice actually. This kind of leans towards the fact that G14s are often not just used for gamers. Another USB-C on this side, and then you get both your legacy USB-A ports on this side, nothing on the right side. And then on the back, just more exhaust you can see there. Nice design language. If you have the Animatrix display there, then you'll get the Animatrix display on the top there. Otherwise, you'll just get kind of like a basic look like that there. But yeah, it looks pretty nice overall. Nice and light. Bottom, similar to every year. Plastic feet to raise it up there, so overall pretty good. Okay, inside, same as always. You get your kind of ergo lift there. So when the laptop is flat, it actually sits up a little bit because of that ergo lift there. To get a little bit more airflow, that's nice actually. And then your exhaust comes out here. Part of the exhaust comes out here on each side, so you get a little bit of exhaust into the screen. That has bothered people in the past. But I've never found it to cause problems or anything like that. I've never heard of it actually causing like physical damage. Two speakers up there, so you get up-firing speakers there. Those will be like tweeters. And then you get the heavier speakers down there producing a little bit more bass. Okay, and getting inside the laptop is pretty easy. Just screws all the way around. There are some little rubber stampy things you can just ply out with a little knife. Set them to the side, you can put them back in after. This one here is a washer. So it usually props up and that screw will stay in there. Okay, and there's a look at the lid there. Decent enough intake, a little bit of a dust vent there. I always wish there was slightly more intake because, you know, I mean, you get enough air, but it's always good to get a bit more. So this is just the 4060 model. This thing can go all the way up to a 4090. So, you know, obviously you're gonna have to increase the cooling as you go along. You can see here there's one SODIMM slot there, so you can upgrade it. It comes with 16 on the board, and then you can stick in, for example, a 16 gigabyte stick or a 32, whatever, take it up to 32 gigabytes of RAM or 40 gigabytes of RAM, whatever, or I guess you could put in an 8 gigabyte stick for some reason. Down-firing speakers there. The other ones are on the flip side, you can see. Battery, 76 watt hours. So for such a thin laptop, it should have pretty good battery life. The 7940HS and the 4060 are both pretty good on battery. And considering you can disable the integrated graphics, you'll actually get really good battery life despite that there. Looks like there's some LED ports there. That might actually be for the Animatrix if you have that model. NVMe here, you can see there's a single NVMe slot here, no dual slots. It comes with a heatsink on it. So you can upgrade the NVMe, just put in a bigger one, basically. Probably, you know, up to 8 terabytes or whatever, and then single RAM there. So get the model with, you know, 16 gigabytes on the board, and get yourself a 16 gigabyte stick and pop that in, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, let's check the specs on this one. As I mentioned, this is the 4060 model, so we have, you know, the RTX 4060. You can get all the way up to a 4090, I guess. And then, of course, you have the integrated graphics, which is a 780M. Wi-Fi, you can see here it's Wi-Fi 6, should be nice, fast Wi-Fi. MediaTek, should be no issues there. SSD, it includes a Western Digital SN740. That'll be pretty quick. We'll test that out there. RAM here only runs at 4800 megahertz. That's unfortunate. You know, the Lenovo Legions run much faster in terms of the speeds of the RAM, so that's a bit of a down. Standard layout. It's nice that they have these separated up here. Like I said before, you get your dedicated buttons there. A little bit of a weird lip there, so the screen's actually sitting back further than you'd anticipate because, you know, there's a little bit of a lip there, so it actually pulls the screen away from you. That's fine though. Let's do a quick typing test. Yep, so great keyboard. It's not gonna rival, you know, the best of the best, which is Lenovo Legion keyboards, ThinkPad keyboards, but it's good, very, very good. Very precise. ASUS makes excellent trackpads. Nice click to it. Not a 10 out of 10 on the click, you know, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, but the actual, you know, size of the trackpad is nice and smooth. This is, you know, has some texture. This is very, very smooth, and the precision feels extremely high. So their trackpads are excellent. Okay, so right away, the camera is seeing close to what I see in real life. It's maybe a little dark, but it's close. These screens are going to be color calibrated, and they're going to also have good color range. So you get both. So you're going to have a screen here that if you're doing content creation, you're going to actually like it. Of course, the mini LED on the 4090 is better, but I think for the average person who's gaming, they're not going to care about that. And even content creators, graphic designers, they're going to be fine. Nice uniform blacks here, no IPS bleed whatsoever. I think that's kind of like a roll of the dice, but screen tech is getting better. And I think just quality control is getting better. And I don't get a lot of, at least high-end stuff with bleed, but these are nice. Like these, ASUS uses their screens as a selling feature. Very vibrant blues again. iPhone not doing it justice, looks better in person. Great yellows there. Yeah, very good. Nice and vibrant. Looks better in person, of course. The 2022 model was the first time they really stepped up the screen, and it looks like in 2023 they really nailed it. This is a beautiful screen. For IPS, it's gorgeous. I typically find that the ASUS gaming, the Zephyrus and the Zephyrus ROG lineup typically has good audio. Let's see here. The 2022 model was good. I've heard the 2023 is quite nice. It's loud. Holy crap. I'm at 35. It's already getting loud. It's a little loud. Awesome speakers. Not as much bass as, you know, MacBook Pro. Some of the larger Lenovo Legions, the G14 Strix from ASUS, those are bigger chassis. They have a little bit more low-end bass, but this has a good amount of mid-bass, and it sounds fantastic. It gets super loud. Here's a really annoying thing about the G14. Well, I want to plug in my HDMI here, but first of all, it's in front of the power, so it has to go like that, and then this is on the side. That's why I really like the Lenovo Legion 14, because the Lenovo Legion 14 has the port at the back. So to plug in the Lenovo Legion port at the back, you put it out here and then it goes into your monitor. Here, this is just, I don't know, it's just dumb. Whereas the Lenovo Legion, both of the ports, the HDMI and the power go in the back of the laptop. So you have your power coming out here, your HDMI out here, power into the wall, HDMI into your screen, and you free up the sides here for either nothing or, some ports. Same here. Okay, I'm just doing some Windows updates here. Let's check how noisy this is on performance. Not too bad. The fans are going, but it's kind of just like a whoosh sound. It's not like an annoying pitch or anything. If we go to silent, it should get quieter. Yep, takes a second. Okay, now we're on performance mode doing some Cinebench. Let's check the noise. I'll bring up that. We can go to turbo. See, now we're getting up to about 50, and I can hear a little bit of pitchiness. It's still not a bad fan. It's not irritating, but it's getting loud. Okay, now we're running some time spy. So the CPU and the GPU are going pretty noisy. I'm in turbo though. Yeah, getting up to almost 60. They're pretty noisy. We'll try performance after though. Okay, and here's a look at the built-in webcam. It's actually really brightening up my face. I have a fair bit of light coming on from in front of me. There's obviously like a big light behind me that's making it a little bit more difficult. There's a decent amount of light in front of me, but everything in the room actually seems brighter. Like I obviously have a lot of white in here intentionally to make it brighter, but it seems to be pulling all of that up quite a bit. But the clarity looks good. I don't see any issues with it. It seems to be smoothing maybe a little bit, but overall it looks pretty good. And then I did some synthetic benchmarks here. So the first one here is the Crystal Disk Mark. You can see here that's an SN740 from Western Digital, and we're getting 5,000 megabytes a second reads and 4,000 writes, so that's pretty good speeds there. And then I moved into some Wi-Fi tests. You can see we're getting 700 down and up on Wi-Fi 6. That's about as fast as my Wi-Fi can go, so it could potentially go faster. And then I moved into some Cinebench runs here. So the first one was done on performance mode, which is basically balance mode here. And you can see we're getting a score of just over 15,000 or so. So that's a pretty good score, especially since we're on balance mode here. Temperatures aren't too bad, 85-ish or so. The fans aren't super noisy on balance mode or performance mode. Then I moved into turbo here, and you can see, now we're getting some actual thermal throttling on the CPU here. The score did go up a little wee bit. We're only around 16,000 or so. So, I don't think it's necessarily worth it to be on turbo mode for the extra heat and noise. Then I went into some time spy scores. So the first one here is turbo. We're getting 10,500 or so on CPU and GPU. Didn't actually run overly hot. When I dropped down to performance mode here, or balance mode, whatever you want to call it, we only lost about 1,000 off of the graphics score and only a couple hundred off the CPU. So good performance overall on performance mode. And it's much quieter and a little bit cooler as well. So probably that's how most people would want to be gaming. Then I did some battery benchmarks here. So the first one's done at 75% brightness, and we have it at 60 hertz refresh rate on balance mode here. And you can see that, I'm getting 8.5 hours or so at 92%. So you're probably going to get, 8 or 9 hours of battery life if you're just kind of hanging out, because the wattage being pulled is so low. And then, more of a realistic setting here, I'm watching some 1080p 60 YouTube here, and you can see here that I'm only drawing about 11 watts or so off of that battery. So you're actually getting, Windows is reporting 6.5 hours of battery life at 90%. That's probably about accurate, and you're probably going to get 6 to 7 hours or so of watching videos because this AMD CPU is so efficient. Okay, here we are in Cyberpunk, and we're just going to do that temperature test. So we will just let this run. I'm on turbo. Oh my God, it's already throttling. So let's put this on turbo, and we'll just let it run for a few minutes here. Okay, and here we are, just running loudly. And we are at, yeah, we're getting pretty hot here. This is the CPU. So, that's pretty hot. I'm just surprised at how hot the CPU is running. Okay, here we are at turbo, at performance, and yeah, it's running cooler. The CPU is no longer as brutally throttling. It did get hot for a moment, but yeah, it's running much cooler now. It's still warm, but 80 is a lot cooler than 95 and 98. So that's pretty good. Let's check the GPU here. Yeah, the GPU is still running really hot. 94 on the memory junction. Okay, and here we are back again now. This has been on silent for a while. Even the silent is running hot on the CPU. Yeah, it's 85. Let's check the GPU. Hopefully it's low. No. Obviously we're at 1440p. And no scaling to start. So let's just see what we get here. So loud. Okay, decent frames, 45. Yeah, so it's running fine, to be honest. Let's try a little bit of, where are you? There you are. Yeah, because honestly, performance and turbo are just super annoying. Yeah, this does help a bit. Honestly, you may just want to throw it on. If you're going to play at ultra, just throw it on silent and just run some DLSS. It's not so annoying this way. It is pretty annoying, but let's see. Yeah, the clocks are way up now. There's like a moment of boost there over 100 watts. Yeah, we can get 60 with DLSS. So that's good, I guess. Fans are incredibly noisy, but okay, so here we are in Red Dead Redemption at 1440p, ultra textures, and then medium everything else. Yeah, we're on turbo mode, 1440p, ultra textures, medium everything else. It's running well. 102, 110 watts being pulled. Yeah, pretty good. Lows aren't fantastic, but could be a temperature related thing. Let's throw this in, let's throw this in performance here. See the wattages come down, and maybe it will bring down the temps. It's much quieter now. Yeah, it actually improves the performance. Same with the Legion. Legions that I've tested, when you bring in basically a balanced mode, it doesn't thermal throttle, so the lows come up a lot in this game. And we're at high, so 1440p high. This is turbo mode. You can tell because it's extremely noisy. This looks like in 1440p turbo on high, we're able to get about 60 or so. So we'll try performance. So this is performance mode now. And then silent is what I would expect balance mode to be. It's definitely not silent. It's running okay. It's actually bearable now. I'd probably play the game on silent, to be honest. It's just too loud otherwise.